Hello everyone. Today I'm tying the Orange Extreme Skater, a dry fly pattern I designed for steelhead and salmon. The hook is a Kamasan B940, size 1/0, a straight eye, wide gaped hook. The thread for this part of the fly is the Semperfli Nano silk 12/0 white. Start the thread behind the eye and trim the tag. Wrap a base along the straight part of the hook and bring it back. For the tail, I'm using the Faux Bucktail in white, a synthetic fiber. Trim a section about half the diameter of a pencil and stack the tips. Measure the fibers. I want the tail the same length as the straight part of the hook. Have the thread placed in the middle of the hook. Trim the fibers on a taper even with the thread. Secure the fibers along the taper, one section at a time to get a smooth taper. Build up the thread with smooth, firm wraps along the threaded area and whip finish at the base of the tail. Next, add a clump of orange deer hair at the base of the tail. Secure with 2 soft wraps and a sudden cinch wrap. Once the fibers are flared, add another half a dozen or so wraps to secure it. Pull the fibers back and secure the thread in front of the deer hair. Repeat this step with a second clump of orange deer hair. Compress the fibers and build up the thread. Start trimming the deer hair at the base of the tail first on a taper towards the eye. Try to keep the same angle throughout the cut. Trim the rest of the deer hair with curved scissors into a cone shape and square out the ends. Next, prepare a set of rubber legs. Here I'm using 4 strands of yellow with orange tips. Divide the strands evenly. Secure the 4 strands on each side of the cone with a soft loop and a cinch wrap. Secure the tag ends along the threaded area and trim the excess. Build up the thread with smooth wraps and trim the ends flush. Next, I'm preparing a Cree saddle hackle. Flatten the stem and fold the hackle. Secure from underneath the hook by the tip along the threaded area. Trim the excess and build up the thread. I'm preparing a foam casing using a frog-shaped foam cutter. Then using curved scissors to thin out the body. Place the foam casing on top of the hook and secure it tight to the trimmed deer hair. Fold the casing over to measure. I want to point slightly past the eye of the hook. Secure the remainder of the foam along the threaded area and trim just before the taper. Build up the thread for a smooth underbody. Take a piece of lead wire and wrap it around the casing, tail, hackle, and the legs. Keep them together and out of the way. Add thin head cement to the wrap and let it set. Once dry, add the dark yellow deer hair. Trim a section about a diameter of a pencil, close to the height to get the full length of the fibers, and comb out the fluff and the short fibers. Place the hair on top of the hook, tight to the casing. Add 2 soft loops and a cinch wrap to flare the hair. Secure with a few more cinch wraps. Pull the fibers back and compress the fibers with a compactor. Build up the thread in front of the hair and whip finish. Repeat this step to the end of the threaded area. Build up the thread in front of the hair into a taper, whip finish, and trim. Start trimming the deer hair at the base of the casing and right around the hook on the taper first. Then the rest with long curved scissors. Trim the hair in a smooth taper and square the ends. Touch up the body with curved scissors to trim any high spots. Finish with a curved razor for a smooth deer hair body. Start the same thread again and trim the tag. Build up the thread and set it so the thread is behind the eye. Next, prepare a dyed yellow calf tail. Grasp a section of fibers about twice as much as the deer hair and trim close to the hide to get the full length of the fibers. Grasp the fibers close to the tips and comb out the short fibers. Stack the fibers so the tips are even. Hold the fibers by the butts and remove and comb out any short fibers. Place the fibers on top of the hook. Leave a small space behind the eye and measure from the thread. I want the wing 1.5 times longer than the gape of the hook. Secure with a soft loop and a cinch wrap while holding the fibers firmly. Wrap with smooth, firm wraps to the base of the deer hair body. Trim the excess fibers flush with the wraps. Build up the thread. Divide the wings evenly and secure with figure 8 wraps in between. Wrap around the base of each wing. And pull the wings upward. Secure the wings with wire around the eye of the hook to keep the fibers together. Next, add the natural deer hair tied to the trimmed yellow deer hair. Secure with a soft loop and a cinch wrap to flare the hair. Pull the fibers back, use a brassy to compact the hair and build up the thread. Repeat this step along the threaded area to the base of the wing. Whip finish and trim the thread. Trim the deer hair with curved scissors so it's flush with the trimmed yellow deer hair. Square up the ends and touch up the high spots using a razor. Start the same thread and trim the tag. Remove the lead wire around the foam casing, legs, and hackle. Wrap the folded Cree saddle hackle along the trimmed deer hair body, evenly spaced and angled. Make sure to bury the stem into the deer hair body as you're wrapping. Secure by the stem and trim the excess. Prepare a large Cree hackle for the collar. Fold the hackle, secure by the tip from underneath the hook, trim the excess and build up the thread. Wrap the hackle with tight edge-to-edge wraps as a collar. Secure by the stem and trim the excess. Build up the thread, whip finish, and add head cement. Trim the thread and switch over to the red thread and whip finish. Remove the wire holding the wing together and spread out the fibers. Fold the foam casing over the hackle and the deer hair body and secure with a few firm wraps. Take a piece of lead wire and wrap over the foam casing and the hackle to keep the area clear for the next step. Next, prepare a section of moose mane. Trim a section close to the hide to get the full length of the fibers and comb out the short underfur. Stack the tips so they're even. Remove any short fibers. Trim the butts square and add a clamp to the trimmed butts to keep the fibers together. Place the fibers from underneath the hook and have the tips even with the hook point. Secure with a soft loop and a few cinch wraps. Whip finish and trim the thread. Trim the butts square even with the hook eye. Remove the lead wire and add thin head cement to the wrap. Prepare a small section of yellow foam with black dots using a foam cutter. Add 5-minute epoxy and place it on top of the orange casing over the wrap and centered. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe and hit the like button to see more.